Hi, everyone. I hope everyone's doing good and enjoying the day. I'm Katrina. This is Sow and Tare. You are at the right location. Every 6 p.m. Pacific time. Um, Monday nights we do a live chat. So if you're on, if you're new, if you're not new, let us know who you are, what you're doing, where you're at, and what you'd like to grow. We have some pretty cool things going on here. Some of you were on the live chats of yesterday. I did a couple impromptu live chats yesterday. Um, one in the late morning where Rigatoni, she was in labor. She was in labor. If you want to see a rabbit in labor, that's where you go. If you, and then if you saw the next one, Rigatoni had babies. So she had 9 babies, and they are all healthy. None of them died on the wire. None of them died or anything. Like they are all super good. Just got back from checking them. They all have milk bellies. There's one that's pretty small, but when you shove 9 babies into that belly, some of them have to be small, right? So that is good. She's doing really good. But um, Ravioli has not started any of that yet. So I'm gonna guess I'm gonna wake up to babies in the morning. That's usually how it works. So that's what I'm guessing. But Rigatoni did have her 9 babies. So yay. That's good. I'm just realizing I should probably move something. You don't need to see my messy kitchen right now. Come on. Anyway, I hope you guys are doing good. Want to remind you guys up in the front of this before we get started going into the chat, we have an awesome Cook With Me Live coming up. We're doing that on Sunday, this next coming Sunday at 11 a.m. Pacific time, and we are making marshmallows. So we're making it early enough that they can be gifts for the holidays, or you can eat them all. Up to you. Um, but the marshmallows we're going to do, and marshmallows are a 2-day event. So we're making them on Sunday, and we are then going to taste them live Monday night at a regular time. And any of the Katrina's kits that makes this, it would be super helpful if you want to come on, like we do when we cook with each other, and we can all taste it together and show everybody kind of a gist of what happens with our Cook With Me lives. And everybody can be a little jealous that all of us get to eat marshmallows and then they don't. So if you want to eat marshmallows with us, join the channel. And there should be a join button down below. If you want to join, let me make this a little shorter. All right, if you want to become a member of the channel and join us, here is the link for that. It's also in the join button down below. And then I wanted to also give you the Cook With Me Live info. So what do you need to get? That's already out there as a post, but here is the link to that post. So you will know you'll know what ingredients you need. We will be making hang on. We will be making one recipe that has egg whites and the other recipe does not. So I've I've actually never made them, but I have an old neighbor that used to make them all the time for gifts. Not all the time, like for Christmas. That's what her typical Christmas gift was. And so I have experience eating fresh marshmallows, and they're not hard. And she's told me this, and it's not hard, and we get it, right? But what also is awesome about this recipe is, so one of them uses corn syrup, but I don't believe the other one does. Maybe I should check this before I tell you guys that. I don't think the other recipe does. I think only one does. Corn syrup. Let's see. Egg whites. Yeah, so the one with the egg whites in it does not use corn syrup. So if you are looking for ways to make things without corn syrup, egg whites might be the answer. So, all right, let me get started. Go up to the top. We're going to have a topic discussion, which we're probably going to do right away. It's going to be rabbits. Come on. We're just talking about rabbits today and anything else you guys want to talk about. If you want to talk about, hey, the cats are doing well, or gardening, or any of that, it's all up for discussion, right? I will like to say I didn't realize that I had not posted the nest box video yet. So I got ahead and recorded a lot. Well, I recorded a lot of things, but then I also have edited a lot of older material. So you'll actually see some that are, hey, it's 2 months ago, but the leaves are on the trees. But those will come out later. But I did get a ways ahead in the planning for the videos, because I have some things I have to do that, I'll have to reduce my time on editing, and editing does take a long time. But I did not realize that you guys hadn't seen the nest box video yet. But that is going to be tomorrow, and then next week will be the babies. So that is how we're going to kind of catch up with that. And again, if you want to see them ahead of time, go do the live. Go to the live that I did. It's no longer live. Yeah, and I think that is all my announcements. All right, let's scroll up here. All right, Silver Creek is here. Awesome. Resident alien. All right. Uh-oh. Okay. All right. So if you were signed up for Silver Creek, re-sign up with Resident Alien. Got it. Oh, okay. Yes, so Verna is Vay's place, and she's a little wrench by her, a little blue wrench, and she is my moderator. If you are an apartment person and you want to grow things, check out her channel. She does a great job on that. And she got your back, guys. And her question is, what's the kit count? We have 9 babies. Ravioli has not had babies yet, so I expect to wake up to babies tomorrow. All right, Dawn's here. Welcome, Dawn. Welcome, welcome. Buster's here. Hey to all. Hey, Buster. Buster was on at least one of those lives. I don't remember which one you were on, but you got to see something, so that's awesome. And Verna was on, I think, one or both. I don't remember. Awesome. Yeah, so still 9. We're still holding at 9, Dawn. All right. Erica's here. Welcome, Erica. I hope you're doing well. Aaron wants to send you eggs. I don't know if he's hooked up with that yet, but Aaron wants to send you eggs. Which I did see one of them was on. But welcome. I hope you can join us Sunday for the marshmallows, because it's gonna be fun. And yeah, awesome. And oh, Dawn says I saw that but didn't have time to watch. You know what? On both of them, well, the second one, the one with his babies, pretty much all the action's up the front. The rest of it is like, is she having more? Is she done? And then for the other one, she stays in some positions for a while. So at the beginning, maybe watch the beginning, and then maybe skip. I'm moving my light. I'm sorry. You can skip ahead and fast forward a little bit if you want, or if you don't want to do that, you don't have to do that. That didn't help. I was trying to make it taller, but I guess I made it too tall. Oh, all right. Oh, Gidra's Family Farm. Hey, friends, it's Aaron, so don't get too excited. Hey, Aaron. I haven't seen your live from Saturday yet. Hopefully it went well. Yeah. So Aaron is down in Louisiana, and Eric is on. You guys can talk about eggs. All right, welcome. 9 babies, yay! Dawn says, "Yep." How about ravioli? Nothing yet. All right. Serena's here. Welcome, Serena. She says hello or hi. Welcome, welcome. What does the garden say when it laughs? Ho, ho, ho. Oh. Okay, Dawn says corn syrup equals cancer. They're getting ready to ban it here in the US. Okay, good to know. Use it up with marshmallows. I have a very small amount left, and I think I just have one container. I may have one and a half, but I don't really use it anymore for anything. The only thing so I've made like caramel candies, and it does a better job texturally. It does a better job than brown sugar, because that's the alternate sugar that is used in that. But taste wise, good. So that's interesting. And Garden thinks it's Santa. Yes, yes, Verna. Yes, rabbits, Dawn says. Serena says, what do you call a line of rabbits taking one step backwards? A receding hairline. You're on fire today, Serena. Jennifer says, good evening, Katrina. Good evening. And everyone else. Hey, did you build your rabbit's cage? I did not build these hutches, so do not copy them. There are a whole bunch of things I am fixing, have fixed, and plan to fix. So if you have specific questions about hutches, then I can answer them. That's fine. I would have used a different wire on the sides and the top than, because it's not as structurally supportive. I would have done a lot of things. So if you're in need of answers now, ask the questions you want me to answer. If you I am recording the fixes that I'm making. So if you're doing that, then that's fine. I do like the sizes. I like the 4x3 coated wire. I do have it. It was supposed to be coated, but it's not. I have it and will replace it when I have time. I will be cutting holes in the wire now that they're actually in the right locations soon for the feeders, because otherwise I'm feeding. So once the rabbit gives birth, she should have food at all times, and she should have free choice. And so I go up and feed, a couple times a day. She ate so much after she gave birth, but yeah. And then once the babies are going, then there's a whole bunch of food. So that is something I will be doing first. But I do like the size of it. I do like a 2-foot opening at least, so I can get in. So you guys could, excuse me, you guys could see from the, today's video. I actually go into their space to grab them, scruff them, and then move them towards me. And I look at what a lot of people have, like what's sold as a rabbit cage, and the openings are like that big, and I just can't imagine that being a pleasant experience for the rabbit or the person. So yeah, that's an interesting thing to observe. But yeah, those are things I like about it. I like having a place on top where I can set something. So if I set a flashlight or set a container, or whatever it is, spot there, the roof needs to cover more fully. It doesn't even cover the supports it's on. So yeah, I paid someone to do it, and they did a horrible job and did not finish. So I am making changes slowly. There we go. All right. Yep. Yeah, Verna. I think ravioli will have them by morning. Yep. Yeah. So Verna was on all the lives. Okay. Serena says, "What are your live stream plans for the upcoming weeks of Christmas and New Year's Day?" Christmas is on a Wednesday, so I have Mondays, so it should be good. Whether it's here or somewhere else. Calendar. Calendar. Yeah. So it's Christmas Eve. Christmas Eve's Eve and New Year Eve's Eve. I'll be on. Yeah. Hopefully people join me. Good question. Amy says babies. Yes. Rigatoni had 9 babies. We are waiting on ravioli. She should have them tomorrow. Yes. Awesome. Serena says my birthday is December 29th. Awesome. Amy says warm and velveteen. They are born without fur, so warm, yes, but they're pretty naked. um, yeah, they are very warm. When I found them, when I went there, when I checked on them last night, which there is a live that you can watch about me finding them for the first time. But when I checked on them last night, they were not even in the hair clump yet. So they pull a bunch of fur, and then she put that in the nest, and then she had them out of the nest. And I actually don't know how they get to the nest. I assumed that she, birthed them in there, but that also doesn't make sense because then there's no blood in there. So one of them was starting to go like to get there by itself. So I don't know if there's a scent thing with the hair or if it feels warmer over there. I don't know. It shouldn't feel warmer than the other babies, but I ended up just moving them over there and covering them over. And um, but when I went to check on this morning, boy, that's a hot pile of rabbits. When you go in there and you're like, oh, let me put my hand, oh, let's just go here and warm my hands over top of them. You can feel the heat radiating off of them. It's amazing. But yeah, not quite but velveteen. All right. And Buster says, Verna, I just want to thank you for the great community. You have got me hooked on something. Awesome. Yeah, we have a good community here. I think we everybody gets along. We don't fight or anything, and everybody wants to share information, which is awesome. And I mean, that's my goal. So sometimes I ask you guys questions, not just me answering questions. So yeah, I agree. I agree. You can make your own sugar syrup. Yes, you can. So we're talking about corn syrup. Yep. I think you can also make corn syrup. I mean, who did it? That 70s Homestead? Is that right? Is that their name? She made corn syrup out of just boiling down like corn cobs that had already been used, like you either eat it or cut off the kernels. And she boiled it down, and it boiled down for quite a while. I don't think she added anything to it. That might be worth revisiting that video. Um, I don't know, Verna, if you want to find it or not. Try. I think it was that 70s Homestead, I think is what it is. But she did it one a few years ago. I don't know, maybe like 3 years ago, maybe. I don't know. Yes. Yes, Amy. Nine babies. That's what I predicted. That's what I predicted. Her last litter was 11, and she didn't look as big as she did before. I would have to say her babies this time around, most of them are smaller than before. Than the last. Then let's see. There's one really small baby, but her big babies are about the same size or maybe a little smaller than her big babies were last time, to my recollection. Yeah. Tommy, we're not talking politics here. But thank you. All right. Isn't Verna a peach? Yep. All right. Dawn says I will need some info for nifty cages come summer. Okay. I am making changes, and once I make all the changes, I don't know how long it's going to take because to do the floor takes some time. And it'll have to be either when the babies are still in the nest box or when they've, gone out of the nest box and are no longer in there. And so that's going to be the timing on that. But other than that, once I have the fixes done, I will I'll do a fix it video because I do think it's important to know if you buy something, if you inherit something, if you hire someone to do something they did it wrong. I do think it's important to know how to fix those things because and the whys to it. But I also probably after that I'll do a video just of features that are good in a hutch as far as what I do. And again, you can go and buy one off the shelf, and it may even be cheaper than buying wood or whatever. But you can buy one off the shelf. You can make one that's super small. But I like to have the larger ones. They don't have to be as tall as the ones I have. They should be tall enough that they can stretch up. And they can stretch up. Let's see. I would say like 2 feet is probably maybe more than 2 feet, 2.5 feet. But it should be tall enough that they can stretch up because that's it's important to have them move. But yeah. And he says, I bet she had a hollow leg to fill. she had a belly. Yep. Verna says when your rabbit kindles, you can give her oatmeal to help with getting more nutrition uptake. Good tip. Add it to the regular feed for a few days. Yeah, that is a tip I think you've used. I haven't used that yet. Oh, raw or cooked? I'm not sure it matters. I've seen people do it with raw, and I know what you're saying about cooked. So you're concerned that it might swell like rice, right? I don't know that it would swell like rice as much. But you're not like giving them a whole bowl of oatmeal. Yeah, raw is Verna's response. Awesome, good tip. Dawn says Christmas Eve I have PT. That was a bummer appointment to see. Oh, yeah. Okay, Verna's saying steel cut is best, followed by old fashioned, then regular, not instant. Okay, yeah. Adam's here. Welcome, Adam. Hello, everyone. He says, welcome, welcome. We're talking rabbits today. You can ask other things or bring up other discussion topics if you'd like as well. All right. And Verna, thank you for putting whatever that link is. I'm going to have to let me click on it and see. Come on, skip the ad. Oh, that's not the one I was thinking, but hopefully it has good things. Yeah, the one I'm thinking, it was 70s Homestead. But hopefully that has, I have no idea what that video is. So that's up to you guys too. Oh, there's another one. hang on. Let's see. I gotta get the other one. Goodness. Looks like you put the same link twice, Verna. Okay. I don't know about that link at all. I can't say yay or nay on that one because I've never seen it. But the one I've seen was that 70s Homestead. And it's been a few years since she did it for corn syrup from corn. Okay. Vernon says, I used the raw oatmeal after they kindled. They loved it. I'm sure they did. John says, I'm going to try and knit an elf hat to wear it to PT on Christmas Eve. That sounds like a good plan. That sounds like a good plan. Adam says, kits are so adorable. They're even cuter just before the baby's coming out of the nesting box. Yeah. Yeah, they're super cute when they have like their little round faces and their little ears. Yeah. So they get their eyes open at 10 days or about 10 days. And that's when like the world is large and they love to explore and they can, go all over the place and start getting out of the nest box. Yeah, so that is a time of wonderment, I guess, for them. Yeah. Oh, Verna put post. Let me see. It is. Yeah, that is the one. Thank you, Verna. You're awesome. Verna's awesome. Yeah, so the one that she just posted is the one that I'm familiar with. And it was 3 years ago. Okay. Thank you, Verna. Yeah. Kits are super, super cute. And when they get fuzzy, they're even cuter. when they don't have any hair, they kind of look like a rat with no tail. But they are super cute. So all of the babies so far from Percy is the buck have been black. And I do not know color genetics for rabbits. That's something I have not vested time in. It's something I probably will not vest time in because I am growing meat rabbits. But I know that all of my does, their mom was Black New Zealand and their dad was a Californian. So I was like, oh, well, the black ones the ones that look black and Percy, who is black, will have black babies. That makes sense to me. And then I was like, oh, well, there might be a difference with the white ones because every time when I used to have a buck that was a Californian, and he bred with the Black New Zealand, their babies would be either black, look like mom, or look like him, look like a Californian. And I know, so Meatball, she looked Californian, and she always had ones that looked Californian. But then I had other ones that look Californian that had both ones that looked like Californian and ones that were black. And so, like, yeah, I don't know the color genetics of what works, but it looks like, at least with him and with the girls that I have now, they're probably all going to be black because that's what colors he's had, which is fine. Yeah. Yep. All right. Amy says, I went back and looked at your live. Congratulations here. Yes. Congratulations. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, those are the first babies born here. So congratulations to Rigatoni for being the first mama. That is not true. We had baby kitties. I mean, she had them like before I moved in, but I was here. I think I was here the day she had them. I didn't see them for like 2 months, but yeah. Yep. Dawn says, I think there may be a health difference between corn syrup and the high fructose corn syrup, which I know causes cancer. Yeah. Corn syrup and high fructose corn syrup, honestly, I don't know what the actual difference is. I just know that it's in everything. You get something from the store, it's in it. I don't understand why sometimes, because sometimes like, why are you sweetening this? Yeah. Yes. So the kits will be 3/4 New Zealand. You're right. 3/4 Black New Zealand. Yeah. And Dawn says color doesn't matter when all taste the same. Exactly. Yeah, they all taste the same. The only thing would be if I'm saving pelts, you know, what that might be. Now, if they're all black, you can probably sew them together and make it into something. But yeah. Yep. Dawn says it is in everything here in the US and banned for decades in the EU. Yeah, there's a lot of things like that. There are a lot of things that is in our system that is banned elsewhere. That's true. Yeah. So yeah, it's interesting. Now you need to get a California buck. I don't need to get a California buck. I am good with the number of rabbits I have. I wouldn't change that unless like all of a sudden a whole bunch of people wanted to buy rabbit meat. But yeah, yeah. Dawn says it's in our food because it's poison. Well, it needs to get out. Yeah. All right. So, um, how many people on here have rabbits or have had them? I feel like we have a pretty high percentage of people that have had rabbits. Um, and if you haven't had them, are you planning to? Um, and you can have rabbits. I mean, even if you are not going to eat them, having rabbits, they make awesome pets. I mean, I'm sure they might chew up some things, but give them enough things to chew on and they will be fine. But the other thing about rabbits is their poo. So their little pellets, they are super super good for the garden. And I have plans where the two hutches are for the ladies. I'm going to build a roof that goes over both hutches. And underneath that, I'm going to put the wood chips. And so it'll be mixed in like it was in the Rackin' house. And that I had previously. And so um, that's my plan for that. And so even though it is beneficial to just put it on the garden, I feel like the chickens might spend some more time under there if there's stuff to pick through. And then also underneath Percy, I think I'm going to put a bin with drainage holes for the urine so that I can use that directly. Yeah. Um, You Just Family Farm says we have rabbits. Yay! And you had baby rabbits earlier than I did this year, right? Do you have more baby rabbits? You guys should be showing this in your channel. Dawn says, I have been in this house 26 years next month, and I have used high fructose corn syrup once. Yep. Yep. All right. Jennifer says, I have one female white New Zealand. Awesome. Do you just have one rabbit or do you have more than one rabbit? Like, is she a pet or are you looking to grow a herd? Dawn says, yes, that's why I want them before quail. I want their pellets for gardening. Exactly. Exactly. And I mean, if you're not going to be eating them for meat, you can get any type of rabbit. Like if you want one of those teeny tiny rabbits, pet rabbits, you can get one of those and use the manure on your garden and stuff. So, yeah. Yeah. Okay, Adam has information about rabbits. The blacks are classified as silver lace in crossbreeds, and it's a prominent gene like agouti, chestnut. I raise New Zealand whites and reds. Awesome. Awesome. Silver lace. Why is it called silver lace? That's interesting. I know for risotto and penne, which are the two female ones that are black, they have white flecks, white hairs in them every once in a while. And it's kind of funny because I think that I think that litter and probably one other litter were the only ones that had the white hairs in it. The other ones were just either pure black or looks like Californian. So I thought that was interesting that Tornellini's last litter had black ones that had the white hairs in it as well. But like I said, I mean, I'm growing for meat. It's not important that the fur is a certain color. And what I'm looking for a rabbit might be different than what other people are looking for a rabbit. I don't do shows or anything like that either. Yeah. Amy says, I have 2 silver fox bucks and a Florida white doe. She is tiny compared to my furry elephants, so I don't want to breed her to them. But having a hard time finding a silver fox doe. How old is she? Because a Florida white should be pretty big compared to a silver fox. But how old is she? Because she might not be ready to breed yet. She might be able to breed, just not yet. Yeah. Dawn says, Aaron, do you have a lot of rabbits or just for your eating? Yes, he also has cooey. I don't think he has cooey. I think one of the sons has cooey. Is that right? Is that right? Oh, cracking up with a cooey. Okay, Dawn says mine will be meat. Okay. Oh wait, what? No meat and manure. Dawn, write down what you meant because you said 2 things back to back. That what are you talking about? Berta says cooey tastes like rabbit. I don't think it tastes quite like rabbit. The one the part that you gave me, it's I think it's different enough. Yeah. Gidra says we have rabbits for our own consumption. And Jennifer says, my daughter and I share a buck. That's a good idea. I thought mine was bred, and 35 days later, no babies. So I need to rebreed her. We put the young rabbits in the freezer. Okay. Adam says the black hair isn't completely black. Some have gray tips or streaks. That's hard to see. I raise for meat. Awesome. Yeah, it's just funny because they were just all like jet black except for these 2, and then I think there's one other litter. I think like one of the babies had that. But I also do know they have gotten more prominent as they've gotten older, and they're not old. But like through their first year, it got more prominent, the white. Oh, got it. Dawn says, I meant not just rabbit for meat, but meat and manure, both. Got it. Okay, Amy says, Florida white born April. Oh, it's one of Keith's? Okay. I may just get Florida white buck and another doe. Make a trio. Awesome. So May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. She might just be a little too small. Yeah, she might be a little too small. Because depending on when she was born in April, that's still younger. Do you know how much she weighs? Because they should weigh around 10 pounds. I think mine all weighed around 10 pounds when they went to the vet to cross the border. Yeah. Amy says, oh, you already said. And Dawn says, don't black rabbits get hotter in the summer heat? I don't know that that's true. They're not out in the sun. So I would say, this is my uneducated answer. I would say color doesn't matter if you're not in the sun. Because if you think about it, if you go outside in a t-shirt and it's a white t-shirt, you might reflect sun. And a black t-shirt, you might absorb sun. But if you go into the shade, it really doesn't matter. So that's my answer if it was a test question. If someone has a real answer, go ahead. It's their ears that do the heat exchange. So yeah. Adam, how did your rabbits fare last year with that heat that came through? I wasn't here yet. Okay. Amy says Florida white doe is about 5 pounds, but my silver fox fellows are about 10. Yeah, I think she'll get there. She just isn't there yet. Um, because let's just say April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, and we're kind of going into December. So, like, depending if it was the end of April, then take that away, and we're at the beginning of December, take that away a little bit, and then you're left with, that. So, I think 9 months is when I bred mine for the first time. So you might just give her a couple more months, and yeah, yeah. Uh, Dawn says that's another question. Do they need sun at all? Because the big carport I plan to put them in really doesn't get sun. They don't need sun. If they have some sort of light, that's good to have them in the dark. But um, like for my setup previous to this, one of the hutches did get some sun for part of the day. Like it was never like, hey, you have to be in sun. It was just a little part of it. And then the other hutch didn't get any direct sun at all. Um, yeah, and so that's completely fine. Yeah. And Amy says, I don't know what that word is. Padukians dressed in black? I don't know what that is. So, oh, is that one of the desert peoples? Like I said, I answered it how I would answer a test question. I may not get full credit. um, yeah. So rabbits do. I think when was our first breeding? I probably have video on it. But their first, I think they were like 9 months. I think so, because I know for the black ones, I think they both missed that same month, and then I had to rebreed, and they didn't have the same problem the next month. But I was worried that it was getting too late because if it's after a year, then um, it can kind of be a little tougher for them. Yeah. Amy says desert dwellers, Bedouins. Okay. I don't know what to tell you. Maybe that's what they have access to, or maybe there's something that is very good about it. I don't know. Arab nomadic tribe. Okay. Ask them. um, I think I think I would have to go with what, I mean, Andy Rabbit's not on here right now, but something that she had said previous to now is that if you keep the breeders that are born and go through the summer, okay, that they can be more acclimated or they can be better with heat. And I do think it has something to do with that. Like if you have if you have if you have rabbits that have gone through heat before when they're small, the likelihood that they'll be okay with it when they're bigger is higher, is what I think. That's probably things she meant. Adam says, I keep my rabbits in complete shade during the summer. They're under a shade tree surrounded by a wooden fence on the sides. East is the unfenced side. They do just fine in our Southern Oregon heat. I was wondering about the upper hundred, not upper hundreds, oh my gosh, but the above hundreds heat that came through. Yeah, so where I have them is shaded, and it's tree shaded. And tree shaded is different than like a tarp shade or a roof shade. Tree shade really is cooler. It's like having multiple roofs because you have all those leaves, and it really has to filter that sun down. But yeah, in the summertime, they're shaded by the tree, but I'm also going to have the larger roof cover it because it does rain here. It rains. I mean, it rained where I was before, but it rains more here. And I do want to keep those wood chips dry because that's going to be the best way it works is dry wood chips. So instead of having the whole chicken run in wood chips, I'm going to do that small area. I might change that. We'll see. I have not had this experience yet. So yeah. Yeah, Amy says, do people have rabbits in conjoined cages or individual hutches? That's a really good question. So my ladies, you'll see it's one hutch, but they're separated by wire. So they're two separate hutches. And that's fine. They're good. And because I have them like their partner in the hutch, their hutch partner is their sister, like from the same litter, and they've always been together. They'll smell at each other sometimes through the wire, and I think that's good um, for just you know communication or whatever. Uh, but if you have a buck next to a doe, you should have a separation, whether that separation is a solid something or a separation that is a space, because I have heard that they can breed through the wire. Um, so that could be a surprise for you. But then also, um, the reason why I have mine set up the way I do, I have my ladies over here, and then Percy is over by himself. Um, Bucks spray. So they will spray their urine everywhere and whatever else they mix with it because they're boys and they're nasty. And they say, smell like me, world. Why would you like to smell any way different? Um, that's my interpretation. So if you don't want your buck to be spraying your ladies, position them accordingly. And then you will see next time you see a rabbit video of mine, look on the uh, again, I would not have painted them black, um, but black paint really shows up the spray. It comes out white, and that white on his hutch is his urine spray, and it reached all the way to Rigatoni's side on her hutch when she was closer, because of course the people I paid to have them up there, they put them in the wrong spot, too close. But that's the reason why I have that separation is because I want him to be far enough away that he doesn't spray all over the place and hit my ladies. And then also, I don't know if it prevents him from spraying as much or not. I don't know. It's a theory I have. I'm not going to test it. You can tell me I'm wrong. I'm fine with that. Um, but yeah, they can mate through the wire. So either put up some sort of barrier or a space or a space. Yeah. All right. Verna says individual cages as they can mate through conjoined cages. Yep. Yeah, for the buck. Yeah. Adam says tree shade definitely is cooler. Absolutely. They have a roof overhead to keep everything dry for our rainy season and winter. Yeah. Yeah. And for me, I mean, the house and that area is on the north side of a hill too. So like right now, the sun never hits where they are. It never actually hits the house right now. Because the sun sets way over there and it's very much lower in the horizon. I mean, the sun doesn't even hit the house right now. It doesn't, the sun doesn't even hit the house in the morning on the summer until like 10 o'clock. So I can sit here this looks westish. I can sit here in the living room and look out, and there's the hill, and I can see if there's no clouds, I can see the sun hit the top of the hill, and you can actually see it coming down the hill into the pasture, and then right, and move that way. So it's pretty interesting. So at least my girls, they do have some protection, temperature wise, because just as a function of geology, they're a little more protected. Yeah. Okay. Um, Amy says that is just raw reproductive talent. How do you position the bucks? Give me a hint where. What? Can you put a buck on the bottom layer cage then? Oh, I don't do layers. So that's a question for somebody who does that. I don't know anybody that does that. Actually, I do. I think Jasmine does that, with Time and Timber. Has anybody have experience with stacking cages for rabbits here? I would say put them on the bottom layer. That's if that's the method you're going to do, I would put them on the bottom. Um, the only thing that might get annoying about that is when you breed them, the female goes to the male, so you're gonna have to be like going down low a lot. Or you can actually get him out and put him. You can have a breeder cage or breeder, temporary setup, elsewhere, but you're still going to have to, work with that bottom layer. But that's what I would do if you had to do the stacking. That's what I would do. Okay. And Amy says my bucks are 10 months old. I haven't seen any spraying. My doe is 40 yards away. Oh my gosh, that's a long distance. And they don't spray all the time. Um, and I don't know what gets them to that point. I mean, I would be petting Parmesan. Parmesan's my old buck. And then all of a sudden he would just, I'm happy. I'm going to spray you. And I've got it in my eye before. It was nasty. Um, and there is no warning usually. Uh, but yeah, they don't all spray and they don't spray all the time, but they do it. So yeah. And I've had one spray a female, Parmesan sprayed, I don't remember who it was he was with, a female when they were in on the date. And I'm like, that is not appropriate, dude. Yeah. Okay, Verna, yeah, that's right. Okay, you did have stacking. I didn't realize you had stacking, Verna. So Verna is saying, yes, I had the buck on the bottom and the girls hutch on the top. Good. Yeah, Dawn, I know. I'm laughing at Amy. It's a long way. Hey, Steve. Welcome. Welcome, welcome. Uh, Steve says double wire, inch between the wires if they have to be housed next to each other. So that's another thing. If you double up wire, be aware their poop will get in between the wire. So, or their hair or whatever. So personally, I wouldn't do that with a shared bottom. What I would do is cut out that bottom, but that's just how I would do it. But it's something to think about once you get in to having a hutch that's built. It is extra time, extra materials, extra frustration to undo things that were done. Trust me, I know. Um, so yeah, if you do double up the wire, have space between it, then that makes sense. But at the same time, realize other things might get in between that space that you'll have to deal with and clean out or whatever. So just plan accordingly. Yeah. Steve says, sorry I was late. My grocer had my coffee half price today only. So I had to scarf up 6 months worth. Oh my gosh. Well, you will now be caffeinated. We will now know what's wrong with you. Don't go rushing into it, Steve. All right. Adam says, that's a great spot. I have mine on the north side of my house as well for the same reasons. Yeah. No, I have like a mountain behind me. there's there's definitely that. All right. And Vern had 3 stack cages. Okay. Okay. Yeah, Dawn says no bottom layer for me. I have a huge carport out there for 3 rabbits. Not needed. How far away do you need the buck's cage to be away? So it doesn't have to be that way. That's there are people that breed them like, and their cages are this much. In fact, I think Slightly Redneck just put out a video today. I think I saw it. That he bred his Timuck rabbits. I think for the first time, and their cages are like this far apart, and they don't have to be apart. But if you want to make sure that his spray doesn't reach her, how far apart was the old? I don't know. I'll measure things and get back to you on that. um, I don't know if it's a concern for everyone. It's just something in my design that I wanted to address. But they can spray probably 5 or 6 feet. I mean, it's a like they swing their butt around. Yeah. If anybody else has any distance information on that, of how far they spray, because I would say it barely hit where her old hutch was, and I would say that old hutch was probably less than 4 feet away where the old one was, or not the old one, but the old location was. It was probably around 4 feet. So yeah, 5 or 6 feet is probably good. Yeah. Roberta says he was claiming her. Yeah, that's possible. Steve says 2 or 3 inches is far enough, Dawn. It's just so he can't. Okay, yeah. So we're talking 2 separate things. Yeah, I think Dawn knows the anatomy isn't 3 to 6 feet. Steve. No, I think Dawn's talking about spraying. So when they spray, that goes quite a distance. But yeah, it's I think a couple inches or even an inch or so is fine for um, keeping them apart. Yeah. All right. Yes, she is specifying. Yeah. Yeah. So it won't keep them from spraying, but it might keep them from spraying the other rabbit. I think that's what I was concerned about. I'm not concerned about like having him not spray. He's gonna spray. But yeah. And Steve says they'll always spray, just marking their territory. Yeah, I think there's some excitement involved in what they do as well. But yeah. Yeah, exactly. And Verna's saying the same thing. Um and Dawn says, yeah, to avoid him spraying the ladies, not to avoid him spraying. Period. Yeah. Okay. Your doors twice. Oh my gosh. Yeah, so Steve says just put us up a solid barrier. It can be a piece of plexiglass, plastic sheet, etc. Yeah, the only thing is rabbits rabbits are very creative and they're very attention to detail people. If they see a change and they were okay with what things were before, they may try to get back to the status quo. If they like where their piece of furniture was, if they like where their stick was, if they can be extremely particular. And so if that partition was not there and all of a sudden it appeared, they may try and find a way to get it off. And they are stronger than you think. Um, so just keep that in mind. If you're going to affix something after, then that's okay. But they are strong, and their teeth do gnaw through lots of things. So, yeah. Dawn, you're laughing at me. I have to say things in certain ways, right? Oh, Verna says females can spray as well. I've not had a female spray. Would they go like that with their butt? You've had that happen? I've not had that happen. Okay. Dawn says, this is my nifty cage ideas going on right now and why. Yep. No, that is good. No, this is a good discussion to have because there's reasons. So there's reasons why we do a whole lot of things. There's reasons why I do something in a certain order. There's reasons why I do something in a certain place. And you know how if someone comes into your house and they do things different, you're just like, but that doesn't go there. But why did you do that? And there's a compromise that has to happen. Yeah, there are sometimes reasons for these things, and sometimes there's not. And sometimes my reason won't matter to you, and your reason won't matter to me, even though we have valid reasons. Yeah, and some reasons don't matter except that I like it this way, you know. Yeah. Amy asked, "What are your favorite things about raising rabbits?" My favorite things, I I do like to be more food secure. And rabbits are something that, to be honest, even through this year, they're going to be mostly fed the pellets. I do have a hay field. I will at some point in the spring probably make tractors and tractor some of the grow outs out there. That's probably not going to happen for these first batches, just because the grass is just starting to grow. And it's also going to maybe snow more. But I don't think it snows that often here, but we already had our first snow. Um, once the hayfield is up and running and I can, cut and all that. I do have a scythe. I can go out and cut things, but what I would be cutting right now would be dead stuff. Um, Once things are up and running, I can have these guys, the grow outs, on the pasture. Once they're 5 weeks, I wean at 5 weeks. Once they're at 5 weeks, I can have them on the pasture, and they can eat mostly the stuff that's out there. I'm actually going to be, I'm exaggerating your question. I'm actually going to be, there's a place near, well, kind of not nearby, about an hour away, that does some special seed mixtures, and that my neighbor told me about. And so I want to do some special seed mixtures for rabbits, and then thinking forward about what else I might have, kind of mix some other things in there, so that the pasture is more nutritious, and even the hayfield is more nutritious. I need to learn some of those grasses that I don't know. But I really like the self-sufficiency and food security part of rabbits. Um, Honestly, if food was not, if pellets were not available, if something happens and pellets were not available, rabbits can survive. They can eat a lot of things that grow around. I mean, they're wild. I have not seen wild rabbits here, and I don't know the why of that. I don't know if they, were hunted out, or coyotes came through and or all that, or if hemorrhagic disease has been through the area. So that would be my only concern about raising them in the pasture. But I haven't seen any rabbits. So if there are no rabbits, then there's no way for disease to move to them. This is me thinking. Um, and so I really like I really like that aspect of it. I love that they're cute and cuddly, and I love that three of my five rabbits want to be pet. Three of my five rabbits I would consider more like pets. Risotto and Penne, because of the way um, they were going to be meat, and then their mom died, and they were what she had as a litter, and they were both female. So I kept them, and they were 7 weeks old. I was not handling them daily. You can see the difference if you look at risotto and penne versus those are the black ones versus ravioli and rigatoni. Ravioli and rigatoni, they come up for pets all the time. They will sit there and be like, pet me, love me. Um, and I like that relationship too. So um, that's two things. And the third thing is I like that they are easy to process. May not be emotionally easy for a lot of people. The first ones I did were very emotionally not easy. The first ones I do of a season are tougher. But I do like that you don't need anything special. I do use a hopper popper, but you can use a choke chain, which I do want to try. Um, and I don't want to get into graphic stuff now, but there's there's ways to do it that you don't need anybody else to be there. You don't need to make an appointment at the processor and all of that. So I like those things. Good question. Okay. Dawn's making notes. uh, Berna says, yeah, I had a doe that knew how to pull off the pea guard. That's right. I remember that. That means she kept going at it until the J clips gave way. That's exactly right. And that's why I say if something and this is why I'm hoping I don't have issues when I put in the feeders. I didn't want to put in the feeders until I knew where the bunnies made their bathrooms and until they were in their permanent spot. And that took a very long time. So I really, really hope when I put in their feeders that they don't try and destroy the whole thing because that will not be fun. So, yes, I understand this. And Verna says she did have a doe spread. Okay. Yeah, Dawn, exactly. You're interested in everyone's reasons, so you can pick and choose when you start. Absolutely. And what might be right for you might not be right for me or other people, all that. Dawn says so lazy husband won't weed. Rabbits grow outs could eat overgrown garden weeds 12 foot tall. They probably would. Um, there are some things that rabbits aren't supposed to have, but I kind of think in that type of situation, they probably would just eat it anyway. And if you're talking about grow outs, you're not talking about long term. Um, it's probably a lot of those things probably are more long term stuff. But yeah, try it. Try it. Don says we have lots of wild rabbits here. When they disappear, the owls wipe them out. They come back the next year. Okay. Verna says breeders are your pets, their kits are your food, so it fills more than one need. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So that's and I like to have a relationship with the animals that I have, especially if they're, gonna be around a while. I mean, the chickens are pets that poop breakfast, kind of. They're on a little break now. They get one egg every 2 or 3 days. I think Rexy, although Smilo has been in the box too, but she doesn't want scratchies, so I don't know. I don't know how much Smilo's is laying. I know she did a little bit after she did her molt, but anyway, yeah. Adam says you guys have wild rabbits up there. I caught a couple on my game trail cameras a couple of years ago in your neck of the woods. I haven't seen any yet. That doesn't say they're not there, but I haven't seen any yet, and I haven't seen any pellets either. The um, little poops. But yeah, good to know. Good to know. Hopefully they don't have the disease because it's nasty. Uh, Dawn says if you put them in a cage with feeders, oh, you moved. You moved. Go back. If you put them in a cage with feeders, do they choose their own bathrooms? Are you saying when the babies come out of the nest box? So mama teaches them where to go. So you don't have to potty train your babies. It is interesting though, because when I was in California, their bathrooms. So I have hutches that are, they're two bunnies and their partition, and their bathroom was always together. And now that's not always the case. So it's just interesting. But yeah, they will define a spot to go and stick with it. Sometimes they'll poop other places because that's just what they do. If it's a boy, if you have a buck, he might just go, this is where I am. This is where I live. Boys must smell like boys at all times. That is the answer to being a buck. He kind of has a primary bathroom, but then also just goes wherever he wants as far as poops go. Usually the pee is all in one spot, but as far as the poops go, he likes to leave his scent. Yeah. All right. Dawn says chickens can make it without feed, which is why I really want you moved them, but can't. So I will have quail if I am something they work. Uh, Stealth? Oh, stealth. Got it. If I'm stealth, they work. I can't stealth chickens. Yeah. Yeah. Um, I would say chickens can make it without feed, but it's less, you as a person are less likely to fill their food needs unless you're raising like mealworms or beetles or some sort of bug or meat to give them because they do need that protein. I would say rabbits hands down is the best. If you are free ranging your chickens, then they will find they can find stuff. Now seasonability, that's going to be an issue with chickens, more so potentially than rabbits. But yeah. And I know with quail, so when I had quail, which I will again, when I had quail, they can eat a lot of things. They can eat an awful lot of things. And it really has surprised me that someone hasn't come up with um, like a mixture. So when you look on the back of a feed bag and you say, oh, they're eating this, 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 this. Well, we can make that, and you may have to do a lot of math and may have to redo your math. But like on a feed bag, you might see like corn. Okay, well, we have corn, or this, and we have this, and the difference is being able to grow all those things yourself is space limiting, um, depending on how many individuals you have. Um, but I'm surprised someone hasn't come up with the natural feeding kind of recipe of things you can grow. But I'm sure it can be done. I mean, they're a bird. Birds live. You might, grow some worms for them, or they love worms. I actually had a worm. I had a brick that I moved in the aviary one time, and I moved it, and there was a red wiggler underneath. And boy, there was a quail there, and she just went and nabbed it. And they're very good hunters of bugs. They're very good hunters of bugs. So I think if you have enough insects, that probably is enough protein and all of that. But yeah, I understand what you mean about stealth now that I understand what you mean. Yeah. Yeah, and Verna says rabbits choose their own bathrooms no matter where you want them to go. So they do make these little like corner bathroom things for pet rabbits. And I'm sure you can potty train them. You can potty train a lot of different things. I even heard of someone potty training a quail. Every time it pooped, they put it over in the corner. And eventually it just went over there and went. So it's just how much time you want to spend on it if you want them to go in a certain place. And I would say that is more likely to happen with a female than a male, but I could be wrong. Yeah. Dawn says, so what I meant was I get 3 young rabbits to start with, 3 outfitted cage they go into. Will they rip out their feeders or just adjust as okay, so you're putting them into a new space is what you're saying. I can't guarantee you they won't rip out feeders, but if they know you have a an actual, like, if they go into a room and they say, "Oh, this is the room. These things are attached to the walls." Okay. There's not going to be an issue unless sometimes the feeders, so here's a J feeder and they're like that. Sometimes if they get tilted, then they'll shake this. They'll grab that, this is the inside. They'll shake this to jiggle out the stuff here because it's supposed to be like this. So once they know that that moves, they can push it out. And I actually did have Meatball push that out. She girl rabbit, and she had babies, and she did have a baby fall through the hole. So something I do is, even though those J feeders have those hooks that you hook on, I also put a wire across it so it can stay. Another thing with those is the ones that I have now actually have a wire mesh on the backside and on the underside. And I really like those because if you have mama rabbits, so they're less important for the bucks to have. But if you have mama rabbits, you are feeding so much food, so much pellets go through that they have just, there's so much pellets, which means there's so much dust. And then that dust, if it doesn't fall through with that screen, if it is a solid thing, that dust can pile up and you might not know it's piling up. And mom will start shaking that, trying to get the stuff down, but she has to get the dust out and it can become a problem. So with these ones, you don't get that dust settling in. So that's something to think about. It's not important for the bucks at all because I mean it'll take forever for that dust to accumulate. Yeah. Um let's see. Steve says, "Do your rabbits have a post office box or are they sharing yours?" Somebody read the comments. I have a post office box now. You guys can send me stuff. It is in the description. I believe it is 633, but let me check. Can I check? Oh, I gotta open up stuff. All right. Live. It isn't here. All right. Thank you for asking the question, Steve. Here are my bunny's post office box. And if you guys want to send stuff, that's good. If you don't, that's good. I'm also starting to collect some things for seeds for my food forest, which is going to happen at some point. I asked my boss if he could send me persimmon seeds. I'll show you guys. This is what I got in the mail. It was in a box, but so now I just have to wait for them to be like soft enough that I like them, that I can eat. But I am going to be planting persimmon trees, but I get to eat the fruit first. So that's a weird color. Why do we have weird color right now? Anyway, this is orange. And it's the kind that you can just eat, and you don't have to bake them or have them go through frost first. But thanks for asking, Steve. All right, Dawn says, I've seen chickens around here in tractors too, not in city limits. Here, oh, another city that allows them. Yeah, yeah. So I'm thinking about starting off, when I do start the rabbits, I'm thinking about starting them off either on the front lawn or there's like lawn over by the garden, which is across from where the rabbits are now. And I just thinking that might be good to start off so I get used to it. And that over there is actually where I want to expand the garden. And so putting some pellets there is a good idea. Yeah. Yeah. Rona says, and time limiting for processing their food. I don't know what that went with, Myrna. Were you answering the question? I don't know what you're replying to. Okay. Dawn says, you don't need a potty for an outdoor meat rabbit, do you? No. Why would it matter where the rabbit goes when it's in a cage outside? I'm getting lost. Okay. When you have a hutch, a cage, or whatever you're having your rabbit in, there are things you need to know. Your rabbit is going to decide where the bathroom is. Some of my rabbits, two, have decided that they're going to poop over here and pee over here. So they have two different corners that are bathrooms. If you put the nest box in their bathroom or one of their bathrooms, they will then use that as a bathroom. Don't do that. So that's one reason why you need to know. Another reason why you need to know, so why I want to put the feeder and the water kind of not by the bathroom is in case they get poops there. I mean, you're still going to get a poop here and there in their water. I don't know how, I don't know why, but it happens. But to avoid that, I want to know those things, and then I also want to know, where does mama lay usually? I would say don't put waterers in the corners, but where does mama like to lay? They kind of have their hangout spots, and I would not put a waterer in that location because she will just lean up against it, and then your water will continue to go. So right now I have rubber bowls and for the water. And so I will be making a system like I had in California for their summer water. And that's an automatic system. Um, and they'll never run out of water. So that's my plan for summer. And so I have to plan that out. So I hope that makes sense. Kind of the things you need to think about are, where are the babies going? So where's the nest box go? And then water and food, and then the tile. So you don't want to put their resting mat. You don't want to put that in the bathroom unless it was one with holes. And really, like the plastic ones that I have, they move them all around. Some of them have put them in the bathroom. Some of them have put them outside the bathroom. Um, and that's fine. That's fine. Just know that they're going to move things. So then they have their chewing sticks and all that. So yeah. All right. And then also, if you wanted to catch that liquid gold or black gold, if you wanted to catch that for some reason, that would be another reason why you would want to know where, so you know where to put containers. Verna says females are easier to train than males in every animal category. All right, Dawn says, I do have to get off and pick this up tomorrow and make more notes. Awesome, Dawn. Well, I'm always here. If you have questions, you know where to find me. And like I said, other people in here have raised rabbits and they can answer as well. And you can have a really, really good array of knowledge. So if you're space limited, maybe you do go with those little tiny, hutches that are very small. I would ask that you think about, if you're going to breed them, think about getting a nest box in there. Is the hole big enough? Getting a rabbit in and out. Once the nest box is in there, is there any other room? So those are things I would think about, because right now that she may not have babies, she may not have all that. I mean, Rigatoni had 11 babies last time. 11 babies. I wean at 5 weeks. Sometimes it's later, depending on what's going on. Usually the last litter of the bunch, usually I'll let them stay with mom. I might not now that I have some place for them to munch on, but think about 100 pounds of rabbits. It wouldn't be that much, but let's just consider that. You know, I mean, when I process rabbits, they are usually in the 5 to 6 range pounds, sometimes close to 7. A lot of people harvest at 3 to 4, and when you have that much space of rabbit, like the rabbits right now, they're this big, but when they grow, they're gonna grow. So if you have, maybe you have a really super breeder and you got 14 babies, are they gonna have enough room to like turn around with everybody else in there? So those are things to consider. Okay. And good night, Dawn. Good night, and thank you for the questions. Thank you, Steve. Um, Dawn says, I see it. Cool, Katrina. What do you see? Oh, the address, the P.O. box. Got it. All right, so Steve says, well, if you have a P.O. box, that means you'll be calling the Watermaster soon. I have left her a message last week and have gotten no reply. It's on my list to call again tomorrow. I have lots of calls in to lots of people. Yeah, I haven't heard back from her yet. But I now have the number in my phone. There you go. Thank you for checking. All right. Dawn says, that is why I like the idea of tractors for the manure to be out there where you're going to garden. Yeah, exactly. And if you're doing it now, then it makes sense to have it. I mean, I'm going to do it over there now, and that makes sense. And I mean, I do have to. I really thought, I'm going to back up. I really thought that the knapweed was going to actually die back. And it kind of looks like it's just died back to the bottom. So, yeah, I'm going to deal with knapweed for a long time. I think I hope to get goats in the spring and have them help me with this, but that's not going to be the only answer. I think I'm going to be pulling quite a bit of knapweed. And that area where I want to expand to the garden has quite a bit of knapweed. So I'm thinking I might want to do something with that. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Good night, Dawn. Oh, Verna says it was due to your comment about space limiting to grow your own feed. There you go. I said it is also time limiting as you have to process the feed you grew. That is a really good point. That's a really good point. Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of things. There's a lot of reasons why a bag of feed is good. There's some reasons why it's not so good. But I think having bagged food as a part of the equation is a good idea. If I'm able to cut hay, make a hay mixture that is really, really good for them, I will likely start feeding mostly hay. Hay being not just grass, but also other things. And then also include the pellets because they do need the minerals, they do need the salts, they do need, other things that in nature they would be, they'd be licking off of their feet when they have bath time, the minerals and soils and all that. So yeah. Yeah. Adam says, oh, the poop and water. The same doe is the feed waster by nosing her feed out of the feeder. Yep. I have a really great video about an ultimate no waste feeder for quail, but I have not figured that out yet for rabbits. And one of the things, I do have one rabbit, Ravioli, who used to do that pawing. And I finally figured out when she was doing it that there was a lot of dust in the holder. So that's usually when she does it. She also does it when she wants to be a jerk. She's a very needy needy girl. And if I give attention to somebody else and she doesn't get attention, then she will do all sorts of things. She used to turn her water thing slightly so that it would just run because she knew that I would go in and fix it and I would be in her space and she liked that I was in her space. So, yes, they can be unique. Yeah. Um, Steve says ours would shake their feeder and toss it when they were out of their greenery to eat. Yeah. And Steve says you can fill that wood box while waiting on that callback. See what I did there? Yes, actually, what I should do is bring the cut wood that's up just in between here and the rabbits and bring that under cover. That's what I should do. That's accomplishable. I don't quite want to fill the wood box because Wednesday the people are going to come to start the process of leveling out the house, the floor. And so they're going to actually be going and using the access, which is under the wood box. So I don't know if they were going to, I don't know if they were planning on pulling it off and replacing it, or if they were planning on crawling underneath it every time. But I can at least bring it down undercover. There you go. Adam says rabbits really do have their own personalities. They absolutely do. And any animal does. Any animal does. I used to have pet snakes, and you could see they were sisters, and you could tell who was who from across the room. Yeah. Yep. Can you burn the knapweed? I could. It wouldn't do much. The protocol that I know about, which is probably old, when I pulled knapweed when I was with the Forest Service on a YCC crew, is to hand pull. And once it's hand pulled, you bag it in black trash bags and solarize it. So that just means you have black trash bags and you set them out in the sun, and basically the heat of the sun on the bag heats up the seeds, supposedly, hot enough that it kills the seed. That is the goal. Whether that happens or not, I don't know. And then you throw it away. You give it to the garbage man. So that at least used to be the way of doing things. Vernon says rabbits can eat knapweed according to Google. Yep. I'm not concerned about having them in that space, but you do have to get the root out. So I don't know. Yeah, you have to get the root out. What I was talking about with the goats, the goats are used. Goats are used for knapweed because the seed dies in its gut. So if a goat eats a flower or a seed head, then nothing will happen from those seeds. If a flower has been pollinated and you cut it off, it can produce seeds. If it's cut off of the plant. That is what I was told when we were pulling knapweed. Whether it's true or not, I don't know, but yeah, it's a pretty nasty plant. I do know I was told to always wear gloves because someone that had worked for the Forest Service ended up with cancer on his thumb. And he was one of the people that was really, really, really enthusiastic about getting rid of knapweed, and he never wore gloves. So there could be something to that with high exposure that it could cause some issues. Now that's an example from one person from a story that was about someone else. But the roots of the knapweed actually does chemical warfare to the plants around them. There are some things that can stand it and some things that are totally negatively affected. And lupin actually can be planted as something to combat the advancement of knapweed. Lupin, there's something in it that fights back. So now, whether or not you want lupin in the areas you have knapweed, look at the edibility and all that stuff for whatever you're doing for your animals. But yeah. And hey, my dad's here. Welcome. Burning doesn't kill knapweed. Either poison many times or hand pulling works. Forest Service does hand pulling. Um, as far as I know, and I'm not uh, a pest person or whatever. It does not. As far as I know, the poison is not the way. Well, it's not the way to go anyway. I don't think, but it's not as efficient as holy hand pulling because you do have to go back and back and back and back. When you hand pull, you're also getting flowers and seed heads, so that's another thing to think about. But yeah, it's here. It's here. And I know where it is. So, I mean, I moved here when it was still in bloom, and I didn't do anything because half of it had already gone to seed. I'm like, well, this is a next year project. Yeah. Um, Adam says, I have screened pellet feeders, so no dust. She just does what she wants. Yeah. Yep. Well, hopefully she's a good mama. Hopefully she's a good mama. Um, yeah. Do you have the blue ones? The ones from, what was that brand? Starts with a D? I don't remember the name of the brand. Starts with a D. Are those the ones that you have, or you have a different one? Because I just started using those maybe half a year before I moved, I think. And they seem to work pretty well. Yeah. I have a feeling we're gonna have some resistance to it from at least one of the does when I do put the feeders in because she really likes to have the bowl. I think she really likes, but the bowls they can also dump. So you know, you take what you can. Yeah, yeah. So knapweed is a big long term project that's going to be here for sure. Um, yeah. Oh yeah. Verna used the no cut J feeders. Um, and Verna, I looked those up. If you want to put a link, that'd be fine. I looked those up and they look like they'd work really well as long as you have the right wire. Um, and do they make them with a screen back? Because that would be the other thing that I would want is a screen back for the ladies. For the bucket doesn't really matter. They don't they don't accumulate the dust. But yeah, the no cut J feeders, I didn't have a clue what they were until you had them, and they looked interesting. Adam says, I don't remember. I purchased them. Yeah. Are they blue? Uh, yeah, I just started using them not that long ago before I moved, and yeah, the wire needs to be 1 inch apart. Okay. Yeah, Verna. So that was and that's part of the design of your hutch is like right now mine is 1 by 1/2 all the way around. It's not what I had thought I had paid for, but it's it's what happened. So structurally, the 1 inch is more structurally sound on the sides because that wire is thicker. Yeah. Oh, you purchased them from the Grange? I don't think I saw any last time I went. Um, I looked a few times in different places. Tractor Supply around here is very disappointing. There's like more stuff in the one in Gilroy than there is the one in where I've gone. Um, yeah, yeah. But I did just get new pants at the Grange Co-op. Actually, I have some right here. Um, that's another thing. Looking for pants that are actually pants for women that don't stretch. It was funny. I told the guy who opened the dressing room for me, "Are you finding everything?" Nope. He's like, "What aren't you finding?" Well, women's pants for women that are actually doing things. I don't need sparkly butt jeans. I don't need butt panels with decorations. I need them to be, you know, tough, not stretchy. And he's like, stretchy? Yeah, all of these are stretchy. And I'm like, even the Carhartt ones for women were stretchy. And he's like, what? And he goes around, he's stretching, he goes to the next one, so he went around like the whole clothing area and like was stretching all the women's pants. He went over the men's pants and they don't move. So he learned something that day. So yep. So far I'm happy with the Grange around here. All right, Brandon just put a link to the no-cut J feeders. Thank you. That will help people that have a 1-inch spacing. Yeah, yeah. Oh, come down to Jackson County. If Grange doesn't have it, chances are coastal in White City will. Okay. Okay. Well, so far I'm good with what I'm going to, but yeah. I think there's a coastal somewhere closer too. Anyway, yeah. Um yeah, so rabbits are a fun topic tonight. I'm glad you guys like the topic. It couldn't not be rabbits, right? I mean, we have too many things going on with rabbits. I was finding that I had so many rabbit videos that I'm like, oh, what about the plant people? The plant people aren't getting anything right now. And so I do have some plant stuff as well coming out. I did plant out a um, what's it called? A cold frame that actually my dad gave me over Thanksgiving. And not really plants, but fun. Tomorrow's video is going to be a video on, I don't remember what I named it. Uh, we're following a 30-year-old logging road. So on my property, much of it was logged in 94 and 95. And if you go on Google Earth, you can see that. And I saw where the roads are. And the roads are where the logging roads are. So I'm looking at access to different areas and seeing if I should reopen some of these areas, meaning clear some of these areas. And then also um, looking for potential access to location for my high tunnel, which I do not have yet, but I want to put in. And if any of those closed roadways make sense to actually incorporate into access for a high tunnel. So I followed one of those roads and made a video of that for tomorrow. So that's what tomorrow's video will be. Thursday's video will be nest boxes I'm putting in, and you guys already know the result. But yeah, I'm trying to keep ahead, so I have things way ahead so that I can kind of get some things done here without worrying so much about editing for a little bit. And then, there's obvious things that I need to put in, during certain times. But yeah, so that is what's going on here. That's what you guys are going to see on tomorrow and Thursday. And it's fun. Yeah. Brenna says, I may not have animals right now, but I do know where I bought everything that I have used. Yep. Yep. Oh no, you cannot drive a road that there are trees growing in, Brenna. 30 years ago, there was a road. Now is what you see after 30 years of not anything driving on that road. So I walked it for sure. Yeah. Yeah. And that's how these roads are is it seems like they're pretty solid. I mean, it has to be, there's a lot of weight went out of there, but it seems like they're pretty solid. And, some of them are built up a little bit and all that, but, and some of them have road cut. So there's like a little road cut, small for this one, but it seems like they're pretty solid. And so that's good. This one is a little steep. But yeah. Yeah. An electric bike? No, I would not electric bike through any of this. Um, yeah, anywhere that I can electric bike right now, I can do perfectly fine walking. and the roads that are actually you can drive on. So no, I don't need an electric bike. What I do need is some sort of like 4x4 or golf cart kind of a situation that has 4x4 to go up to the top of the mountain, because I actually haven't gone up there since it's been my property. Yeah. Yeah, so it's a fun thing. But I do like exploring, and I like exploring the different places. And there's a lot to explore. So yeah. Adam says those old roads would be a great foundation for a high tunnel if you're growing in raised beds. Yeah, so I was looking for access too, but you're right. You're right. There's one area that I found I think might have been a laydown area. It wouldn't be quite as big as I would need it, but I could definitely make it bigger. Um, and access there's, I don't know. There's some things I need to find out. There's some information that is not in videos yet. But yeah, that is a good point because it's already somewhat cleared or whatever. But yeah, nothing's flat. Nothing's flat here except for underneath the power lines, which you can't build there. I do have some higher energy power lines going through. But yeah, you can't build within a certain area. Wheels are turning. My wheels? Are they going like this again? Yeah, there's a lot of things to do here. There's a lot of things I need to find out. And like Steve mentioned, one of the things is Water Master, because I have water rights in 2 different locations, and I need to decide whether or not that's going to affect where I put things. Yeah, there's lots of things to consider. There's so many things to consider, and I feel like I'm considering all of them all at once, and none of them completely. That's what I'm feeling. Yeah. So yeah, Water Master, and then I also need to confirm, coming from California, some of these non-permitted things I really have to check, because some things that would definitely require permits from where I came from don't require permits here. And I think grading is one of them. But I'm definitely going to check that before I do it. And I won't be doing it. I'll be hiring someone to do it. So yeah, that's one thing that definitely would need lots of permits. Not lots, just one, but would need permits in California that I don't think is needed here. I've had neighbors tell me that is the case, but I'm going to actually ask. Verna says, that list for planning your garden? You need to make one for your property. Verna, you know me. How many lists do you think I have? I have lots of lists. I have lists of lists. Yeah, I do. I do. I have lots of lists. Um, I have lists, and then I have working lists. So I have like these are the things I want to do. And then I have, here's the first step, and then here's the steps underneath. Yeah. Yeah. So my timing is yeah, like that gazillion. Exactly. Exactly. And they change all the time. Like priorities change all the time. So for example, the house is being leveled, um, meaning leveled, not leveled. Um, and that has to happen before the windows happen. It needs to happen before, because they're single pane. It needs to happen before the carpet goes in, because otherwise it would be stretched and then whoops, stretch a different way, come back and stretch it again. It needs to happen. I could paint now. I probably should have painted already, but if I paint the walls now, there's potential for cracks to happen in the drywall when they level. So I'll have to redo that. But yeah, that is a very interesting thing to think about, is is the process, things can't happen until other things happen. And, with a house, that's the process for the house. The roof's on, the leveling's happening, starting to happen hopefully this week. And then after that happens, then windows, paint, I can probably do with that at the same time. So paint, windows, and then carpet. And once that's done, like the house is going to be where I need it to actually unpack all of my stuff. But until that point, I don't want to unpack everything and just pack up everything every time I need to do something in a room. So, yeah, so that's just one example of the house. And the same thing is happening for high tunnel plans, for, well, garden plans is less, garden plans is just like, it's the wrong season right now. I mean, I guess it's not. I could just, put up fencing, but, that's going to happen. And then the rabbit area is at a point I need to shorten the upper hutch. Once that's shortened, then I can put in the roof, the big roof. But I haven't done that yet. So there's a lot of different things. A lot of different things. Yes, I have lists of lists. Adam says 811 before you dig in Oregon. Most of everything else in Oregon, other than building, is fair game outside city limits. That is true for the area we live in. Not true for all of Oregon. So I know some things I don't need a permit here where my parents do, and they're in Central Oregon. So yes, where you and I are, that is mostly true. I think Lane County is not like that. They had more restrictions and all that. So 811 was called for the leach field, and he had them do everything within 100 feet of the house just to, and they did jack. Yeah. It's each individual company that comes out, and they didn't even come out before the work was planned. Like someone came out 2 weeks after, like, guys, we called you. Yeah, so I know where the telephone line is now. That's the only thing underground. Like the other thing about this is I know I have electric lines like from here to up to the cabin that are underground, but no one like if I call 811, the call before you dig, they aren't going to find it for me because it's by company, and that's not under the jurisdiction of any company. So the power company, they didn't even come. They came out and they said, "Oh, it connects from there to the house." Okay, it's all overhead. The end. They don't walk around or anything or ask if anything else is undergrounded. They're not responsible for that. That's the property owner's responsibility. So while that's useful, it's not as useful as it could be and maybe should be, because the goal of the call before you dig is that you're not going to expose something you shouldn't. So my dad did send me home with a metal detector. I have to figure out how to use it, or more likely, I don't know, are you still on here? More likely, when he comes visits, he can walk around with it. But that should detect some stuff, maybe. Anyway, so yeah. So thank you, Adam, for saying that. And it is useful and it is good, except it doesn't cover a lot of the things in the places that I needed to cover. Yeah. All right. Verna says, "Oh, Katrina, I learned something this last week. Good. Just one? I don't like white potatoes cooked with meat, but sweet potatoes are fine cooked with meat." Okay. Are you talking like in a like a roaster pan? Because I don't like how potatoes turn out in a roaster pan with like the chicken or turkey or whatever. I would agree with you on that. I don't know what it does, but I don't know why. Adam says Lane County doesn't count. I looked at a couple of places in Lane County, and that's how I know, because I do my due diligence. So yeah, they have some interesting things. roasting or soup. See, soup I'm okay with it, but roasting, like when people put potatoes and carrots underneath, either beef or like a turkey, those I'm not a fan of cooked carrots anyway. I like them raw. But those are definitely not as tasty as other ways you could make them for me. Yeah. Yeah. So that's something good to find out though. You're still learning. Oh man. Yeah. No, I have lots of plans and there's lots of phone calls out there. Um, they call the water master. She has not called me back. Called a few people that I have on my list to call tomorrow. Um, yeah. Yep. So that is good. Oh, Verna says, same with me. Carrots and onions I prefer raw. I prefer no onions. You absolutely should learn until you die. Absolutely. Yeah. And maybe even after. Adam says Douglas County should have a rough sketch of where the lines are buried. I had to do some homework on my property down here through Jackson County. Um, maybe they might. They might. And actually, that might be the case because, well, here's the problem. People don't always tell people when things are done. I find that, uh, like, I'm pretty sure there's a old well right next to the chicken run. There's a piece of metal this big in the ground with some wire sticking out of it, and the power person, the electric person that did come, I did ask him. I'm like, so there's some wires up here. I know that's maybe not your thing, but can you tell me if they're live? And so he did actually go out there with his tester, and he like, no, they're dead. I wanted to know that, and he was nice enough to walk up the hill a little bit and do that for me because, yeah. But I have a suspicion that that was probably a well at some point, and nobody can tell me here whether it was or not, or why it is no longer there if it was. So stuff like that. I think people out here just did whatever they did and don't necessarily have permission for a lot of these things. Um, and then on the other side of it, so leach field, you do need a permit. And when the permit was pulled, um, the person who did leach field found that it looks like at some point there was proposed plans to have a house built on the other side of the road, and because there was some information for the soils already from that, but it didn't go through. So I mean, not that it didn't go through, like it's not there. So that's interesting. So yeah, there could be other things that, and that was not something that was disclosed to me or anything like that through the sale of the house. But yeah, yeah, good point. Um, Steve says I prefer carrots cooked, baked, broiled, or stewed with meat. All right. I mean, I like it in stews and soups, but not like a whole lot. Just like little chunks, not the big chunks. Um, Steve says if they didn't pull a permit for the cabin, one would never know. So the house is 1956. The cabin was built in 1969 and 70. Permitting was not a thing here until 70. So both of these houses were built pre-permitting, so they're grandfathered in. But when you have updates, you still have to do permits. But yeah, none of that. Well, I mean, it's a separate, like it has its own ID on all the stuff you look up. But other than that, yeah, yeah. Adam says, so true. I found out with my septic leach lines, uh, they didn't follow the sketch from online. That happens too. Yeah. So the as-built plans were never submitted. That's what that means. And most places probably were like, oh, yeah, I don't know where it is. Yeah. I was lucky in that the person who did the leach field, no, it's not connected yet. It was raining when he was supposed to be out here to do that because I need another tank. But so it's still not connected. But when he connects it, it'll be up and running. But I was lucky that he really cared about things, and they actually marked the ends of the areas because he said I should be able to tractor rabbits on that area without issue. Um, but he said like cows and stuff like that would be too heavy. So I do plan on seeding that specifically for rabbits. Uh, and he said it would probably never even fill up except for maybe the top line. And that's like, unless you're using a lot and there's a lot of people over and all that, just the top line is probably ever going to fill up. So maybe the second one. But yeah. Steve says there's a device you can out on those wires and put on those wires and read it from your fuse box to see where they come into. Steve, can you elaborate? I'm not getting. I understand what you're saying, but I think I'm missing a part. There's a device you can put on those wires. Oh, on the wires that are dead? The dead wires of the well? Is that what you're saying? Yeah, because there is this random wire that comes out, and I think it connects up to there. It's buried though, but it comes out. It's like coming from the attic. I don't know. I don't know if it was disconnected at some point. Don't know where it goes. Anything, but yeah. Tell me more. Oh, Verna says if carrots are in a soup, they should be grated or diced finely. Grated? I don't know about grating. I'm good with the small pieces. Oh my gosh. Steve's recipes: 1 pound roast to 4 pounds carrots. All right. Pull. You like to log roll them? uh, Brenda says Lucy would get those, Steve, because I won't eat them. Only way to get her to eat veggies is to cook them with meat. A proper dog she is. Oh my gosh. Steve says on the wire. Okay, on the wire out of the pole, you hook a transmitter up to it, then go to the fuse box, and where it comes into the fuse box, it will beep. So you know that's the same wire. That doesn't tell you where it is, though. I'm talking about digging, too. And like the wire that's just sticking out of the ground, that's, I don't know where the other side of it is. I think it's in the attic somewhere, honestly, but I really don't know. Yeah. Okay. So you're just saying that it completes the circuit, is what you're saying. Or it shows you where it completes. Okay. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know, Steve. We're discovering lots of things at this new property. I mean, there's an old saw blade. I don't know if I've ever shown it. Have I shown you guys the old saw blade? It's like that wide. That wide, not long. Wide. And has teeth. Do they go the same direction? I think they go the same direction. There's teeth like that are like this. Like that. On it. That is by a tank that I don't know what it may have used to have in it or may still have in it. I don't know. There's a lot of interesting things out here. Yeah. Could have been a pole light for checking on chickens at night. The only thing is it's a hollow, I think it's about 4 inches, which is what, I mean, it really looks like well pipe to me. It's rusty. but it really looks like well pipe to me. Maybe it's not, but I think it probably is. There's more of that pipe up near the other up near the saw blade. Um, that looks very similar. So, and I don't know how far down it goes. I was going to tie something on a string and lower it and see how far it went, but I haven't done it yet. So, yeah. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's the wires are like that close to the base, so they're not like it's not a pipe with wires in it. It's a pipe with wires next to it, like this. Yeah. I don't know. I think it would be a weird place to put a light, but I don't know. I also don't have lights on at night outside. So, yeah. I just think it's weird when people have lights on at night outside because if they're not out there, I don't know. I don't know. Oh, Verna says after 11 p.m. here, I have to run. Have to take Lucy out. We are after 8. Good night, Verna. Good night. Good night. All right. Oh, wait. You said not sliced whole. What is that about? Oh, you're talking about carrots. I already read that. I just saw that at the top. I'm like, what are we talking about here? All right. Adam says, I wonder if they used gold mine there. To mine gold, you mean? Used to have a gold mine? It might be worth checking into if they were closed correctly. So, are you referencing the thing I think is a well, or are you starting on a different topic? Like, I need to know if these are connected. I don't know. And I haven't explored very much off trail yet. I've mostly explored off road. Um, in the bottom part of the property, because I'm really searching out for areas for the food forest, and that is going to be probably on a less steep area is what I'm thinking, and that's where less steep areas are. So there may be something up there. Who knows? Who knows? Um, as far as I know, nothing in the paperwork when this was sold to me said anything about mineral rights. But yeah, Buster said good night, Britta. Yes, good night, Britta. The deer will appreciate the new food forest. No, they will not, because I will be fencing that. Um, there's elk here too, so I definitely want to do an elk fence around a few acres. Oh, did I say food forest? The food forest doesn't have to be flat. The high tunnel has to be flat-ish. I mean, it can be cut, but food forest can go. I don't want it to be too steep, but I kind of have a couple areas of thinking about, and it could have 2 different areas too. So that's also something to think about. Um, the deer will appreciate new food forest. They appreciate the apples, that's for sure. And they appreciated my parsley, which is growing back, amazingly enough. I haven't seen the deer around as much recently, and I think that probably has something to do with hunting season. I think hunting season's over. I don't know. I should really know these things. Um, I just know that there was hunting season, and my neighbor was like, "You have some nice deer on your property." I'm like, "I know, they're apple fed." um, yeah, and then I haven't really been down at night where in the hayfield area in a while since I actually put it in the video, but there are elk hanging out. I'm sure they hang out every day down there, but there are elk hanging out down there uh, probably every night. They're probably still doing it. Um, no bear yet, which is okay with me. Um, my neighbor did come around the corner and found they scared a bear, and the bear scared him too. So I know it's possible. I just haven't had that experience yet. I know there was a post on our local group that someone had a bear get into their chicken coop, rip the door off. So hopefully bears will stay away. But yeah. Okay, so Steve says my hunting season should have ended at the end of November. It very well could have. I have not looked it up. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't heard a gun in a while. So for a while there was someone practicing, and I'm like, you must need a lot of practice because they were doing a lot. So yeah. Alrighty, well, I am going to head off here unless you guys desperately want to talk about something. um, Other than that, this has been a good chat. We had a good chat tonight. We always have a good chat. Sometimes they're more involved than others. This is a good involved chat. Um, yeah. So, good night, all. Buster says. Good night, Buster. Thanks for joining, and thanks for joining the other lives. That was fun. It was fun to have people sporadically show up for something that was unplanned. So, all right. If you guys haven't seen the live chat, the lives from was it yesterday? It was yesterday. From yesterday, the first one that went out was um, when I realized Rigatoni was in labor, and kind of goes through that. And the other one, excuse me, the other one was um, about when I found the babies. So she had babies. That was my first seeing of the babies, and all of that. So that one went on longer just because I wasn't sure if she was going to have more. She hadn't. I mean, she cleaned them off, but she hadn't cleaned up everything yet. So I figured I didn't know if she was done or not. Um, if you want to watch the fun stuff, you start at the beginning and it's right there. If you want to hang out with me saying the same thing over and over again for people that come on, watch the whole thing. But yeah. Steve says I'd stop after 9 if I was done or not. 9 babies, huh? That's it? I don't know. How many grandkids do you have now? You have 9 yet? I think you have more, right? Oh my gosh. Buster says, hope for another litter tomorrow. I absolutely think that she is going to have them tonight. I absolutely think that. And it's so funny because Ravioli started her hair shed like a day earlier than Rigatoni. So it was very interesting. On the video for when you see some of it now, but I do demonstrate in the video I'm making for down the road. You'll see that hair shed, what that looks like. And Dawn, if you're watching Dawn and Amy, if you're watching this on the replay, that's something that you can indicate. And I think that video will be helpful to you when you start raising rabbits, is looking at how they shed their hair right before, within 24 hours, maybe longer than 24 hours, 48 hours for Ravioli's case, before they give birth. And that's a good sign they're coming. 16 grandkids, Steve. Oh my gosh. You need a school bus is what you need. Oh my goodness. All right, guys. Well, thank you for hanging out with me and having a good time and having good questions and conversations. I always have a good time with you guys Monday nights. Oh, Adam says deer was over first weekend of November. Elk was a week after. Okay. So it's been done for a while. That's why I haven't been hearing guns. Oh, man. That's good. All right, guys. Thank you, guys. I'm going to not head out anywhere, but head off the interwebs. And if you are not a member, you want to be a member, I'm going to put that on here one more time for the Cook With Me it's becoming a Katrina's kit. Steve named it. And there's where you join, and we are making marshmallows next Sunday. So, making marshmallows next Sunday, and we're going to taste test them on camera next during the live next week. So, yeah. Oh, archery season ended yesterday, Steve says. See, there's all sorts of things. Like, I mean, do they have slingshot season? It seems like there's so many different seasons. I remember, sorry to interrupt here myself, I was signing off. I remember there was a, so I did my undergraduate research. What was that? I think there's a cricket in the house. I did my undergraduate research in southeastern Oregon at Heart Mountain. And Heart Mountain has a 3-mile radius around the headquarters that you cannot hunt. And buckshot in youth season, geez. And so I was there 2 separate summers, and every time hunting season came around for pronghorn, all the pronghorn seems to find their way into that 3-mile radius. It was so funny. It was so funny. But we actually measured. So there's like the scoring where you measure the horns, pronghorns, and like the distance, like length and distance, and the distance here, and all that. And so we would do that. Well, when I was in there, I would help with that. But when I wasn't in there yet, I obviously wasn't doing that because I was out in the field. But yeah, I remember one time in the field, I saw this thing. I was like, I see a pronghorn, and there's this orange thing. What the heck is that? And I get my binoculars up, and this poor pronghorn had been shot with an arrow in the pronghorn and had escaped death to wander about with an arrow in his pronghorn. I don't know. Whatever, a few days later, a week later, I don't know how long it was. Someone actually brought him in. They got him. He's like, I'm going to mount him like that. I'm going to leave it in there and mount it. I'm like, oh, that sealed his fate. Yeah. All right. Steve says, in our area, we go until the end of December. I just use my truck to get them. The county roads all year. Roadkill? I've had roadkill pronghorn. That was good. We were out. Man, you got to get me to do stories. When I was doing pygmy rabbit project in Utah, there was so pygmy rabbits are a little rabbit. They're like this big, little head in sagebrush, and they're sagebrush obligates. And we were going out early in the morning to catch them. They're animals that are crepuscular. If Verna is watching this again, she will learn another word. Crepuscular means they're active during the dusk and dawn. So you go out before dawn and lay out the traps because you've already pre-selected where their paths are. And we were going out there, and we saw it in my truck, and the person in front of us did not see it. And pronghorn stood up and went across the road, and they didn't put on the brakes. They didn't put on the brakes because pronghorn, much like deer or elk, if there is one, there is likely more than one. So they hit the second pronghorn, hit the chest, and it actually disconnected and exploded the heart. Didn't disconnect the heart, exploded the heart, disconnected here. Instant death, which is the best you can hope for hitting a pronghorn. But it was way too early to call anybody, and so we left someone to process it, and then call the game warden once it was time. And he said, yeah, just if you get the head, I'll come and pick up the head. Basically, they want to make sure that you are not going to poach it just for a mount. And so that head sat in the back of the truck for 4 days. One of my coworkers said, and it was not my truck, so luckily that's good. One of my coworkers is like, I'm putting it out on the hill. If he wants it, he can go get it. Never came. He never came. Anyway, but we did cook it up and it was very good. All right. All right, no more questions. I will see you guys next week, hopefully on Sunday if you're going to join us for marshmallows. And if not on Sunday, then next Monday. If you're looking for the ingredients you need, it's in the community posts in on the what's it called? On my you go to my channel and you look at posts. It used to be called community, now it's called posts. And then I will put on the Friends of Sow and Tare group because I don't know, Adam, if you're still on, but this is a Facebook group. You have to answer the questions so we know you're real. But we chat about things, often about the topic of the night, and sometimes not, and sometimes no talk. So anyway, with that, I will say good night to you guys. Have a wonderful, wonderful week, and we will see you on Sunday or Monday. And have a wonderful evening. Oh, and it's in the info for the live as well. Yes, yes, it's actually a description of all the videos. That is true. Thank you, Steve. All right. Good night, guys.